Hey guys, Sean C. Phillips here on the brand new DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shop barrel today. They're gonna go out, see what things are on today, see what things are on sale. I know today, the big release is Daddy's Home 2, and I believe there's like a couple different retail exclusive ones. I know there's a Target one. I don't know if there's any other ones as well for that. I know also the film The Florida Project releases today as well. That was a really, really good movie. Talked about that one in my video last week. And also, though, at the end of this video, gonna be a bunch of different, new DVD and Blu-ray reviews for some things I received to review and talk about for you guys. There's stuff like Coco 4K on the end, a bunch of new Arrow titles, so a whole bunch of different stuff. So definitely stay tuned, for the end of the video to see the new reviews. But anyway, though, guys, let's get going and see what we can find today. Into Target we go. And there's two cool things I want to let you guys know about. Right now, there's a thing on streaming, and it's on like Amazon streaming, iTunes, Vudu, all that kind of stuff. There's a movie on there called Like Me. It's a really cool, like trippy movie, amazing cinematography, music, and everything about this girl who's like obsessed with trying to be famous, and she's like making these crazy videos. It starts off with her like, robbing this place and posting it online, and starts getting fame from it. Then it kind of builds up to more and more crazy things that she's doing. But there's a scene in it though when it's like YouTube kind of characters reenacting to what she did, posted, and there's a scene in there with me reenacting like a quick thing, so it's pretty cool. Guys, definitely check that one out. Also, let you guys know there's a YouTuber who does like videos talking about like slasher movies and like the kill counts and that kind of stuff in the films, called Dead Meat. Like I said, he does like on horror movies, all kinds of slashers and stuff, showing the kills and like discussing the movie and stuff. He posted yesterday a movie, video talking about the film President's Day, which is a movie that I was in back in 2010, like a really cool slasher movie. But he's in there, talking about all the kills in the movie. There's like clips in there of me, and he gave a really cool shout out as well. So I really appreciate that shout out because he mentioned about my weight loss and everything. But definitely check out that video below. Really, really well put together. He puts out some really cool stuff talking about a whole lot of other slasher movies, but like I said, definitely check those things out, and the link below will be for the one for President's Day. And like I said though, the big thing that came out today was Daddy's Home 2, and Target has the exclusive edition here, which is the only Target Blu-ray bonus disc, which has with exclusive 20 minutes of behind the scenes footage on this one, and that one's $19.99 for that film, and it seems to be the same price for the standard edition Blu-ray. I don't see the 4K for that one, but this is a really fun film. If you guys saw, the first movie, this is like them set during the holidays, and they're all like getting together, and having to deal with each other again, but then their parents come. I don't know, it's a pretty fun movie. Other than that though, the Florida Project released today. I don't see the Blu-ray for this one, but this was an amazing, amazing film. William Dafoe actually has a nomination for Best Supporting Actor in this. I really love this, and this is basically though about him running this as like the manager of this sort of rundown motel in Florida. It's his mother and daughter who, live there, and it's kind of all the things that are going on in their life, but a really well done character piece. And the other one that came out today, and I'm going to talk about this one next week because I didn't get the review in this video, but this insane, crazy movie starring Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair called Mom and Dad. This is from one of the same directors of the Cranked films, but this is like something happens and all the parents in the world like go crazy and want to like attack and kill their kids, and it's like, of course, like Nicolas Cage going totally, nuts in this. Really, really, really love this movie. That one here is $16.99 for the Blu-ray, and then $12.99 for the DVD of that one. And also over here in the kids section, this one released today, this movie, The Star. I think this was like an animated kind of thing about the Bible or something like that. I know like Oprah and a bunch of different people did voices in this one. I don't know if you guys have seen this one, let me know how this one was, but this wasn't one that I was super interested in seeing, but just to let you guys know, this one, released today as well. Into the CRC resale store we go. And in here, though, they always play lots of music and stuff, but they had this one thing in here which is kind of interesting. It's only the one disc of the set, though, but it's an out-of-print show called Life Goes On. It goes for like $27 to $30 or something used. I've never actually seen this, but they only have, it's disc 4, so it's like there's a 4-disc set, so definitely not going to get that, but, if it was only the whole set, that would be definitely a good find in here. But yeah, other than that though, I looked through everything in there. There wasn't too much, and like I said, it was one of those ones where they always like blast like, you know, music and stuff like that, so I never really get much footage in there at all. So it's lucky I even got like a second in there. Sometimes I like narrate over it and stuff, but nothing really too different, except for that one. If only it was like the whole series. I never saw that show though, so I don't know anything about that one, but I knew that was like one I do not recall seeing too often. Into fries we go. And this is one of those places that, you know, seldom changes, but every so often though they have some really like decent sales on stuff, so we'll see if there's any, you know, stuff on sale in here today. But in here though, I always look for these kind of things here where they have like the sales and stuff, but sometimes they have really like things that are cheap for like $3 and stuff, but right now it seems to be kind of like not a whole lot of things on sale in here. But it is always cool though, if you guys are looking for like Arrow video releases, they always have them all in person in here, so that's pretty cool. Like, you know, you hardly ever see anywhere the Herschel Gordon Lewis big giant like cereal box Blood Feast thing in here, like they have that, so definitely is cool for those sort of things, but nothing really in here too different. Like I said, there's a few little things on sale in here, like seems like it'd be like $1 off here and there, but no like really cheap prices as far as I'm, you know, can see today. Into Walmart we go. And in here though, their edition of Daddy's Home, they do have the 4K. That one's $26.96, but I don't think they have any exclusive ones. I think this is like an exclusive one though, a double feature of both the movies on DVD, but I don't know if this one, the Blu-ray one, if that's an exclusive one as well. I don't see a sticker on that one, but it also on this one, it comes with a digital copy of the first movie, but if you want to get it this way though, you get for, you know, $28.96 both the films on the actual physical disc for the first movie. Other than that though, like I showed in Target, this one, the Star release, that one's $19.96, and they have the Florida Project here as well, but it looks like they only have the DVD. I don't know if anywhere, you know, will have the Blu-ray of that one. I would think that probably they would have it at Best Buy, but we'll see. And like I showed too, Mom and Dad, and this one really like this movie. And I you know, if you guys like, you know, crazy, like really insane Nicolas Cage performances, this one is probably some of the like craziest that he's ever really done, because like he goes, like when he does like flip and starts to attack the kids, he really does go totally insane in this. I really, you know, like this one a lot. And then these ones here, I believe these released today as well. This one, Steve McQueen, American Icon here. Some like, I guess it's a documentary on him. And this past weekend I saw two different films. The first one I saw was the new Marvel film, Black Panther, which, you know, I don't want to talk anything really about the plot or say too much about it in case anyone hasn't seen it, but, you know, the movie did really well at the box office. It was actually really well done, and like I'm definitely interested in seeing too, because, you know, the Black Panther character is going to be in the new Avengers film, and really interested in seeing, you know, what they do with the future Black Panther films, because I really like the character, and like, you know, in this film too, Michael B. Jordan was really good as well. But the thing I thought was kind of cool about this movie too was it really used a lot of really different kind of technology. Like some reviews kind of compared it to like a mix of like, you know, a superhero film, but then like aspects of something like 007, James Bond kind of thing, because there was a lot of like you know, Mission Impossible kind of thing, because there's all these like kind of interesting kind of spy equipment and like inventions and stuff like that. They were really different, and there was a really cool use of like different technology in this movie, so I thought it was really pretty cool. But like I said, I'm interested in seeing too, you know, I'm pretty sure there's going to be other Black Panther films, but interested in seeing too, you know, the character in the new Avengers film coming up. I think it's like in May that it comes out. Also, the other movie that I saw was you know, Early Man. This is actually from the same director and writer of the, you know, all the Wallace and Gromit films, and I believe it was Chicken Run. And, you know, this is his first film that he's directed though in a really long time, but like his group though has done, you know, a bunch of other ones, you know, like he created like Shaun the Sheep and stuff, but this was like the first thing he actually directed in a really long time. So it really did have that Wallace and Gromit, you know, kind of vibe to this. Not a lot of people saw this one this weekend, but if you guys like Wallace and Gromit, I would check it out. The thing that's kind of interesting too was, you know, I liked that the trailer for the movie, it really didn't like give much away at all. Like there was like a huge aspect of this movie, you know what the major plot was they didn't even really show in the trailer. So I kind of like that it was, you kind of went into it not knowing much about it, but it was basically, you know, set like during the prehistoric kind of time, sort of, with like these cavemen, and like someone came in and was taking away their land, you know, their land, like this like kind of rich guy that took away this land because he wanted to like mine for like gold and silver from it, and they have to do something to get their land back. But I don't know, it's a really fun movie. I always, you know, always grew up watching Wallace and Gromit, so I thought it was cool seeing this. Like I said, it has the same kind of vibe and same like look to the characters and everything. But if you guys saw either of those movies, you know, this past weekend, or, you know, anything this weekend, let me know in the comments below what you guys saw, and, you know, what you guys thought of those two, if you guys got to see either of them as well. Into Best Buy we go. But in here today, though, like I said, it wasn't a huge release week, not a whole ton of different things in here, but they have Daddy's Home in here as well. They have the Blu-ray for $19.99, and then, you know, the 4K for $24.99. And like I said, the only exclusive edition that I saw for this one that there was today was the Target one with the bonus disc. But they also did in the front have Mom and Dad, and it looked like Mom and Dad was like the cheapest it was I saw for the Blu-ray. I didn't see the, you know, Florida Project in here, unless I totally missed it. But, you know, I hadn't seen that one. But if you guys are interested in that one for the Blu-ray, would definitely say, though, that would be one I would get online, because it seems like the places that do have it only seem to have the, you know, the DVD version. And it's pretty cool too that they always have been having the, you know, the Shout Factory, Scream Factory releases in here, because they have Hell Night in here now for $22.99. I believe they've had these ones, but I didn't recall seeing, you know, Hell Night in here before. This is kind of a cool, sort of underrated, like, Linda Blair movie. You don't hear about that one very much, but I kind of like this one. But definitely it's cool to see them, you know, carrying these ones in here to get them, you know, in person. But anyway, though, guys, that's all for this DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shopping video. Like I always say, if you guys enjoy these shopping videos, definitely give this video a thumbs up. Now stay tuned now for some new DVD and Blu-ray reviews. And the first one I got here from Arrow Video is a film here called Scalpel. This is from the same director of the film that Arrow Video released as well, called Blood Rage, which is an amazing slasher movie. If you guys have not seen that one, highly recommend it. And it's like a real crazy, over-the-top, like the mother character in that was amazing. And like, you know, the gore effects, everything was really, really great movie. But the director made this film a number of years before that one. This is from 1976. This is about this girl who ran away because in the beginning you see someone killed her boyfriend. So she runs off, and then it's her father, who is this, like, you know, wealthy kind of plastic surgeon. Is like a really renowned plastic surgeon, and, you know, he finds out that his, I think it was his grandfather or his father dies, and then, but all the money in the entire house, everything was left to his daughter, who's ran off, and, you know, he has no idea where she is, doesn't know how to get in contact with her. And in the beginning of this movie, though, there's this girl who gets, like, beat up outside of a club, and her face is totally messed up, and it's like she needs to have plastic surgery. And then the guy comes up with this idea that, you know, because the only person that can get all this money is the daughter, and he doesn't know where she is, and he kind of wants this money and wants this house and everything. He ends up making this woman look like his daughter, like everything, like doing everything he can to make her look identical. And then when she comes out of the coma and after the surgery, he's kind of like coaching her and saying, listen, there's $5 million. You're going to get half if you play along here and you pretend to be my daughter. And they kind of are working on the voice and like everything, like her mannerisms. And they're going through like the family photos and saying, well, this is your uncle. This is this person. This is this person. This person's really weird. And you did this with them this time and all this kind of stuff. And it's pretty much, though, the whole scheme of them trying to figure out how to get this money. But of course, though, you know, the daughter is going to come back. And that's where the movie really picks up. But, you know, that's the basic concept of the movie. But I honestly really like this movie. The main actress went on to be in, like, I think, like, one of the Days of Our Lives, or one of those, you know, soap operas for years and years. I think she's still on it as well. She's been on it for a really long time. But this was a really, really cool movie, and I feel like the makeup effects, you know, of the after the surgery almost inspired the look in the movie Goodnight Mommy a little bit. If you guys like see this movie, like the bandages and stuff had this similar kind of look to it. But I really, really got into this one. It has on here, though, a brand new 2K restoration on here. It has an interview, you know, an introduction here with the writer-director. It has an interview here with the director as well. A thing on here talking with the director of photography, but a really, really great release and a really, really interesting movie here. And here's a look inside at the artwork, and they have a booklet in here, you know, with some pictures and stuff from the film and facts and all that kind of stuff. Always really cool, too, that these are included in their releases. This one here, one that you guys know is available, and this one's out like in the middle of next month. It's a movie, from Robert Altman movie here called Images. This is from the Arrow Academy line. This is essentially about, it kind of was a little bit like that Roman Polanski movie, Repulsion, I think that one, the one that was like in the apartment building a little bit. It has that sort of vibe to it, but it's this woman who is staying in this kind of sort of a fancy kind of house while her husband is doing this work, and she's kind of in the house, and she's like something is going on, and she starts like seeing weird things and hearing things, and then like someone is calling her on the phone, and like she's like, the person like keeps sort of like hanging up and saying they're a certain person, but then like all of a sudden she's talking to somebody else on the phone, so something is going on, and she's sort of like cracking up in this house, and it's sort of like her trying to figure out exactly, is like there's something going on, like why is all this, she's seeing all these things, and who is this person who keeps calling her, and is it like somebody like trying to make her crazy? But like I said, she's always like getting these calls, and then it's one person, this guy, but then all of a sudden it's somebody else on the phone saying, you know, who are you talking to? What are you talking about? You know, Robert Altman too did like I believe Gosford Park and lots of different movies, but this was a one from I think this was from 1972. I think this was. I believe it was 71 or 72. I'm not 100% certain, but it has on here though a brand new 4K scan of the movie on here, as well as a scene select commentary, you know, archival commentary with Robert Altman on here, commentary on here as well, you know, a featurette on here with Altman, the cinematographer, on here, interview with the actress on here, but a really pretty interesting, you know, I feel like a lesser talked about Robert Altman movie, and like I said, this one has a booklet in here as well with some pictures and stuff from the film, but both pretty interesting ones, but definitely Scalpel, like especially if you guys liked, you know, Blood Rage. Next one here is from Shout Factory, Scream Factory line. This is the film The Strangers. You know, it stars Liv Tyler, and I always really liked this movie. You know, this was like a home invasion movie, and for some reason I believe that it was like a they made another movie that with a similar plot. There was like this, I think this one was based on, called like Them or something like that. I've never actually seen that one, but I'm pretty sure about that. I'm not 100% certain, but I think I remember hearing that. But this is basically, though, about, you know, this couple who are in their house, and then all of a sudden they get a knock on the door, and they're being like, you know, stalked and messed with by these people lurking outside. And their house is kind of in the middle of nowhere, you know, real far out into the kind of country, kind of middle of nowhere area. And they're out there being, you know, like stalked by these people wearing these masks. And it's kind of them trying to figure out what they're going to do, because these people are like probably going to try and kill them. It's a crazy, you know, home invasion movie. Like I said, I always really liked this movie. This has on here, though, the theatrical cut and the director's cut, and they have brand new 2K you know, transfers on both of these releases here, as well as on here there's a new interview with the writer-director on here on this one as well, and then it has the archival features like the Element of Terror interviews with the cast and crew, deleted scenes, TV spots, and I can't wait too to see the new Strangers movie, which is like set in a trailer park, which looks really kind of an interesting movie. But if you guys like you know, kind of crazy home invasion type movies, highly recommend you guys check this one out. And it's, like I said, this is the brand new collector's edition here of The Strangers. The next one here from Disney and Pixar is the 4K Ultra HD edition here of the film Coco, which, you know, this is one I saw in theaters as well, and I had this as one of my picks for the top films of 2017. And this, honestly, is probably one of the best, if not the best, Pixar movie in my opinion, like the one that I actually like the most. It's just a really, really great movie. When it comes to like the Pixar movies too, I always like these kind of ones that have like really, really sad elements to them. Like, because this has some sad stuff, and this is one of those movies, like, I honestly had a couple like really bad tearing up scenes in this movie, to be honest. Like this one, you know, Up, Wall-E, like those kind of ones I like the best. Like ones like Cars and stuff, those aren't my favorite. You know, that are not as fun. You know, not exactly like it's fun. Those are more for like kids, I feel like. This one I feel like is for kids and adults. Like those Cars ones I just don't like as much, like those type of ones. But this one is basically, though, about this kid who, you know, really loves music and is all into, you know, everything music. And but for one reason or another, his family, you know, hates music because of something that the kid's grandfather did in the past, you know, with music, and kind of abandon the family and everything. They just don't like it. They kind of ban, you know, guitars in the house. They ban singing, like anything to do with music. They don't want So this kid, that's like his dream. That's all he wants to do is play music. And, he's trying to tell his family this and they don't want to hear it. So one night he ends up running away, and he runs away to the graveyard of where his, great grandfather was, who was this, very famous Mexican musician, and and then because of this guy too, that's why they don't like the music. But he, runs away to his monastery where he's like buried, and goes in there and picks up his guitar, and then ends up getting transported to the land of the dead, where his dead relatives are. So it's essentially him transported to the Day of the Dead, and he gets himself trapped there, and he has to try and figure out how he's going to get back. And he meets his grandmother and stuff who has passed away, and the other family members. But it's an amazing movie, like the whole journey that he's on there, and then the look of this movie too, especially with the 4K release, is probably one of the most colorful Pixar movies they've ever done, because especially when he first goes to the land of the dead world, it's like just amazing. Like, this is one of those ones that if you guys have 4K, highly recommend it. It's just one of those ones, the colors pop so much in this, especially, like I said, it's one of the most colorful ones that I feel like Pixar has ever done. Has on here, though, tons of different features. The 4K, though, has the movie itself, but on the Blu-ray disc, it has a commentary track, deleted scenes. It has a path to Coco, some making-of things on here. The music of Coco, featurette on here about how to draw a skeleton, tons and tons of features, but in a really great release. And like I said, if you guys have 4K, highly recommend this, but just such an amazing movie. But one of those movies, though, that you get very teared up, because I was, like I said, it was just a really emotional, but probably one of their best stories as well. Like, everything in this movie worked. I thought that everything in the story, everything to this one, like, honestly, though, this is just such a great movie. The next one I got from Disney as well is the brand new signature collector's edition release here of The Lady and the Tramp, because this one I believe was in the vault, so this one is now back out in print with the brand new release here, and it has, the digital copy of the movie as well in here. And if you guys don't know Lady and the Tramp, it's basically about this, like, one dog who is, lady who's, like, comes from a very wealthy family, like, her owners are really rich, and, she's kind of like the uppity dog. But then, there's the tramp, who's kind of like the dog who lives out in the streets, and it's pretty much, though, about, when Lady first gets, taken home to her family, like, they're all about her and everything, but then they end up, having a child, and then right when the child comes, Lady's kind of put to the side a little bit, and kind of feels, like, neglected, and, like, they aren't paying attention to her anymore. And it deals with, like, the, one point, like, the aunt, the owner's aunt comes into, her sister comes to take care of the house while, they're away, and, like, she brings these Siamese cats there, and then, like, they don't get along with Lady, and then, like, the woman ends up thinking that Lady's, like, crazy, and like gonna attack her and stuff, so she doesn't like them, because the Siamese cats are always causing mischief and, like, making it like Lady did something to them. And it's pretty much, though, about, like, her ending up running away, and it deals with, like, the dog catchers coming after her, and then, kind of like her relationship with the Tramp character. And you guys know, like, the classic spaghetti scene. But this is it's one of those movies, I used to watch this movie all the time as a little kid. Like, I always, like, one of those movies too, like, I hadn't seen this movie in, like, probably, like, 15 years plus, but it's like you totally remember, like, everything about this, like, everything. It has on here, though, 3 ways to watch the movie. It has a new sing-along version on here. It has inside Walt's story meetings about the film. It has a theatrical trailer, and it has stories from Walt's office, learn about Walt through his trinkets and treasures in his office, a number of other featurettes as well on this one. But a really, guys, if you guys don't have that one, highly recommend you guys pick that up. The next one here from Lionsgate is an Al Pacino, Carl Urban, Brittany Snow movie here called Hangman. And this is essentially, though, about Al Pacino, his, like, this detective character who is, he recently retired, but he was, like, really well-known detective and really good at, like, solving cases and stuff. And he ends up kind of stuck coming back to work on this, like, really complicated case, because Carl Urban's character is, trying to investigate these murders that are happening. And Brittany Snow's character is, like, a like student that's coming to kind of follow along on, like, crimes and, solving cases and stuff, and kind of like what the police go through to solve cases. So she's kind of like shattering along the way, but there's these killings that are happening, and it all deals with like people, being hung and stuff. And there's like that classic game, that kids game, Hangman, when you like draw like the noose and stuff, and you write in the letters and stuff. So like there's these clues being left at the crime scenes, throughout that they're going through, and it's essentially about them trying to figure out, who is behind these cases. And like I said, Al Pacino's come back to try and work on the cases along with Carl Urban, and then like I said, Brittany Snow is kind of coming along, and she's kind of like supposed to like be kind of waiting around in the back and stuff, but she's always kind of coming into the buildings and really wants to get up on everything that's happening and get the inside facts on everything. But if you guys like these kind of like police detective kind of murder mysteries, trying to solve the case kind of ones, check this out. This one has on here a featurette on Al Pacino, as well as another featurette on the Hangman in their own words on this one. This one was kind of interesting to watch because I didn't see any of this when this first aired, and I believe there's going to be a second season, I think. This is from Lionsgate as well, and this is the complete first season of the the reboot of MacGyver, starring I believe it's Lucas Till as MacGyver. And this is actually kind of fun. Like, I never really watched the original MacGyver too much. I only saw like an episode here and there. But I always remember, the theme, the opening theme song and the opening to that. And like, MacGyver is always like solving, trying to de-bomb things and stuff, like defuse the bombs. And he's like using like weird kind of like inventions that he has. And, he all kind of weird things that he does. And it has the same kind of vibe. And it's basically about Lucas Till's character playing MacGyver. And it's about him trying to take down the bad guys and stuff. And he's always stuck in situations too when he has to de-bomb, defuse the bombs. And he's like always like, oh, if it's going to cut this wire, is that the right one? Oh, there's all the wires are the same color and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, it's got that like real throwback kind of vibe to the original series, but then it's got a modernized kind of thing about him and the group that he works for, trying to, take down the bad guys and stuff. But it's actually, honestly, kind of a fun show. Like, if you guys like those kind of spy type, kind of weird little inventions and trying to use, like, like weird little ways to try and stop things like MacGyver's character always does, I would say to check this one out here. The next one here from Paramount is the 4K edition here of Daddy's Home. And I reviewed like a week or so back Daddy's Home 2, which was actually a really fun movie. But I like the first movie as well. And this is about, Will Ferrell's character. He just got, married, and, he's married to, Mark Wahlberg's character's ex-wife. And it's kind of about, Mark Wahlberg is like, why are you, his character is like looking at Will Ferrell, like giving him all kinds of problems, like, why she left me and married you, and, why would she leave me for you? And like, it's kind of, in this movie, there's like a big scuffle back and forth, and they're trying to show one another up because Will Ferrell's taking care of, his new kids, which are Mark Wahlberg's kids, and he's like, doesn't like that he's coming in as trying to be the father and like, become friends with these kids, and he's like trying to turn the kids against him, and it's all kinds of like crazy, wacky stuff going on, like as crazy and over the top as you can get. I think the first movie was much more like over the top with some of the stuff that was happening in this, like the craziness that was, going on. But, 4K wise though, actually is if it's not, it's not one of those like really showy kind of movies, because it's, like where it's like huge tons of effects or anything like that. But detail wise and everything, 4K though definitely is a huge improvement for the color and everything and the picture quality of the movie itself. And it has on here, the features are only on the Blu-ray disc, which is the features from the last release, but it has a bunch of stuff on here, like some making ofs, deleted scenes, bloopers, a bunch of different things on this release here. The next one's here, and these were fun to watch again. I only saw these movies in theaters, and I never saw them on DVD. I only saw them when they first came out, and these are the 4K releases of the Tomb Raider films. This is, Lara Croft Tomb Raider, and then Tomb Raider Cradle of Life. And I'll talk mainly about the first film, but this, like I said, I only saw this movie in theaters. And I had not seen this since, I think it was 2001, this release, so that was the last time I saw this. And honestly, I had a lot more fun with this movie now, because I think when it first came out, I thought it was like kind of like okay, but now I really, really like this. And I always, a huge fan of Angelina Jolie, and she really was good in this part. And it's essentially, though, about Lara Croft, who's like, this kind of like really this woman who has lots of money, lives in this mansion, but she kind of goes out and, goes in like, sort of like like almost like a female Indiana Jones type character of, it's based on the video game series, because I did play the video game series when I was, younger as well. I think that was around the same time that like Resident Evil like first released, I think around that time. But I remember that was one of the first like, really like big kind of adventure type games, but it's sort of her going and like, trying to find things and going into caves and stuff like that. And this one is about her essentially like going and dealing with the Illuminati, and she's trying to find these pieces, and she wants to get it before they get into the wrong hands, and they can kind of control time with this thing. It's a little bit, the plot's a little hard to explain, but very, very fun movies. And 4K wise though, both of these ones were huge improvements. Like I said, I only ever saw them in the past, but it does include the original Blu-rays in this as well. But picture quality though, I thought they actually looked really good. Like the since it was 2001 though, some of the effects and stuff were like earlier digital effects. So like they don't look as amazing in 4K, but still, really, really fun movies. And I feel like these are movies, like I said, a lot of people probably haven't seen in a long time, but definitely worth checking out again. Like I said, I really had a fun time watching them. The next one here is from Scorpion Releasing, as through Doppelganger Releasing. It's like a partnership for this one. And this is a movie that Dario Argento produced called The Sect. They had a bunch of Argento trailers on here as well, and like they had the one on there for the movie Card Player. So hopefully they're going to release that one down the line, because that was a really cool. I know that one kind of had mixed reviews, but I always really liked that. This is essentially though dealing with this kind of weird sort of Charles Manson-y kind of cult of these people. And in the beginning of the movie though, this one guy ends up like killing this whole cult, and he's like doing some weird stuff going on. And it's like it deals with all kinds of really trippy images. It's extremely hard to explain though what's going on in this movie, because it's a lot of really weird images and stuff happening. But it's essentially though this woman ends up, hitting this guy with this car, this older guy, and it's like the guy from the beginning of the movie that killed all these people, and he's like in the house, and he's doing like in her house and doing some weird stuff, and then she starts having some weird things happen to her, and she starts like seeing weird things and having like weird visions, and all kinds of weird trippy things are going on to her, and she's trying to figure out exactly like what's going on. It's like the same director of this movie did the film The Church, which this company is releasing as well next month. It's a crazy, trippy movie. It has on here, though, a brand new 2K scan of the film, interview on here with star Thomas Arana, as well as an on-camera interview with the director. This also stars Jamie Lee Curtis's sister, because I remember when I first saw this movie, I was like, this one really looks like Jamie Lee Curtis, and I looked it up and was like, oh, it's her sister. They're very similar looking, but like a crazy, trippy movie. And the next one here from the American Genre Film Archive and Bleeding Skull is a crazy movie here called The Soultangler. It's like a really hard to say title. Soultangler, it's a very weird word, but this is like a similar kind of movie to like Reanimator. It's got a real Reanimator kind of like vibe, but like a shot on video Reanimator. It was shot on film, but it was edited on video. So everything that kind of was edited on videotape always has that real shot on video kind of vibe. And this is like this guy who's doing these weird experiments to try and like take people's souls when they're alive and put them into corpses and like reanimate them into the corpses, but he's like doing all these weird experiments on people that he's doing it to, and there's like weird side effects and really strange stuff is going on. This is like a really crazy, strange, weird movie. I believe it was from like 1987, but it has on here though, a new transfer on this one, as well as a unseen 62-minute alternate director's cut on here. Has a commentary track on here with the director, behind the scenes footage, has trailers on this one, music video. So lots and lots of stuff on this one, but a really, really crazy film. The next ones here are from Vinegar Syndrome. This one is the sequel to Penitentiary. This is Penitentiary 2. And this one actually has Mr. T in this film. So an early Mr. T movie. This is from 1982. Always been a fan of Mr. T. And like, and then every time I think of Mr. T, no matter what, I always think of that Be Somebody music video. Like, no matter what, I think that's like the first thing that's always going to come in my mind. And this is basically, though, the same character from the first film who was put in prison. In this one, he ended up getting out of prison, and he's now going to try, because he's going to go work at a boxing place, but he's going to go there and help out and stuff, but he doesn't want to actually have to box again, but one thing or another kind of, because that's what he did when he was in prison, and he ends up, one thing or another causes him to have to go back to boxing, and it's kind of like someone like threatening him from his past, and Mr. T is in there as a boxer. It's like a really, pretty good follow-up to the original film, and I believe there might have been like 2 other sequels. I believe for sure there was a 3rd one. But this has on here a brand new 2K scan of the movie. It has some archival interviews on here, isolated soundtrack, but really, really great transfer on this one as well. This one here is from Vinegar Syndrome as well. It's a movie here called Prey, and they have, both of these ones have ones with limited edition slipcovers, because this one I have to cover the one thing over, because there's another, like I said, they have limited slipcover releases for both of these ones. But this one is basically about this alien that comes down from space. He's kind of like wandering around and like, attacking things and stuff like that. It was making me think a little bit of that movie, called Fiend for some reason a little bit, but it's essentially, and I actually, this one too, I thought I never saw before, and I was watching, I'm like, no, I saw this movie years and years back. But it's basically this couple, these 2 women that end up, find this guy and kind of taking him back to their house. And it's like, weird stuff starts to happening while they're there. And it's like all kinds of weird, like, because like the guy too, like, when you see his alien form, he has like this like weird, like, kind of nose and these teeth and stuff. It's a really strange, peculiar, like science fiction alien movie. I kind of like this one though. Like I said, I one of those ones when I totally did not remember I saw this one before, but as well, this has a brand new 2K restoration on here, commentary track on here with the director, some new interviews on here, but a really fun, kind of trippy alien film. This one here is from Something Weird and Pop Cinema, and it's pretty cool that Something Weird is back now, releasing a lot of things on Blu-ray. Like I said, hopefully they release down the line too a lot of the Harry Novak kind of movies, because there's the catalog of Something Weird though is so many different things. Like this one that I love too is this really strange carnival movie called Carnival of Blood. But these are 2 sort of more adult films here called Female Chauvinists and Hot Connections. Hot Connections, features Renee Bond, who was like really known in the 70s, especially in the Harry Novak movies, and then kind of went on to being in like a lot more adult kind of stuff. But this one is like, the Female Chauvinist is like a kind of like a feminist kind of recruitment camp, kind of like the training camp that these women are at. And the other one is like these women that are getting revenge on this guy who ended up impregnating this woman and stuff. But they're actually like really, really crazy adult films. They're sort of adult, but not exactly. Like, it's hard to explain. But transfer wise though, they did a really good job cleaning these ones up. The next one here from Cinedigm is a movie, starring Eric Roberts and James Duvall's in this movie, called Spreading Darkness. And this was a really interesting movie. I always like Eric Roberts stuff. I watch a lot of Eric Roberts movies. And this one he was in like a lot of the movie. He was in a really good portion of this film. This movie, though, you could tell was definitely shot at like different times, because like hair length and stuff were really varying in this movie. But it's basically though about Eric Roberts as this like high-level executive, and this one guy in the beginning of the movie ends up killing himself in front of his wife, and it's because of something that Eric Roberts' character did. So it's kind of like the wife is going to go and try and get revenge on Eric Roberts, his character. And it's like kind of like it's one of those movies that deals with a whole lot of characters and stuff. Because like Eric Roberts is always his character is always going to this bar and meeting these people. And like, but then it's like he starts to kind of, because like in the beginning of the movie too, his wife ends up dying, getting hit by a car. So then she sort of starts to haunt his life, and he starts to sort of see things. And something is kind of making him kind of start to go crazier and crazier as the film goes along. And it's kind of like, are all these people kind of in cahoots with him? Like, what is, trying to get revenge on him? Do all these people have something to do with that he did to them? It's a really kind of an interesting, trippy movie. It was kind of fun, too. The one guy, Spooky Dan, I always talk to at conventions and stuff. You see him in here in one of the scenes, like in this, like, doctor's office scene, sitting there. So I don't know, I thought it was kind of cool seeing Spooky Dan sitting there. But this is actually kind of a crazy, out there, kind of hard to explain movie. And I believe, too, it was actually shot on film. The next one here from Vision Films is a movie here called Living Among Us, and this has William Sadler in here, Thomas Ian Nicholas, Andrew Keegan, John Hurd, and this is about it's basically about these, people that work for a news kind of company, doing like news stories and stuff, and they get invited to go to this house where these people say that they're actually vampires. So they kind of, and they're all like, "What are you talking about?" But they like believe that vampires are actually out there, or maybe, and these ones say that they are vampires. So it's kind of them going to film at this house, this kind of mansion, where all these supposed vampires live, and they kind of have like little hidden cameras, and they have their main camera, so it's all done found footage style of them, like through the news cameras, going to the house, and it's kind of them going there to kind of interview them, but there's some really weird stuff going on there. It's probably not a good idea that they went. Andrew Keegan, though, was great. Andrew Keegan, I always think of, from Camp Nowhere, 10 Things I Hate About You. His character is my favorite in this movie. But, William Sadler, who I always think of, Death from Bill and Ted, he's in this movie. John Hurd is in this movie. It was actually a pretty decent, especially the last like 30 minutes of this movie, and effects wise too. There was some really crazy like gore effects and stuff in this. The next one here is from, I think this is through PBS, and this is Garfield 9 Lives, and I think this might have been released on DVD years ago. I'm not 100% certain. This is one of those ones, as a little kid, I watched this movie, on VHS so many times. This is like Garfield's character, and it kind of shows him, his 9 lives, and it's like, a little anthology about him showing how each time, all the different lives that he had, like caveman days and Egyptian days and everything, all the kind of lives and stuff that he lived. And it also has a bonus one in here of Garfield going camping and all the kind of problems and stuff going on. This was interesting to watch this again. Like I said, I watched this one. This is one of those tapes that I watched so many times as a little kid. The next one here is from Monarch Home Entertainment. This is a movie here called Expatriot. It's about a woman who ends up, working for the government, but she ends up like exposing like these secrets about like saying stuff that she shouldn't have let out, about like spies and being watched and stuff. So she ends up leaking this information because she can't like keep it in anymore. And when she leaks this information, though, she ends up having to kind of go out into hiding, because then like something else happens. She gets like blamed for something, so she goes to another country and starts hiding out. But then like someone comes from her past and says like, we can help clear your name, but you have to help work with us to try and track down this person. So it's kind of like a whole thing, but then she doesn't know if she can really trust them. So it's like a whole big to-do situation of her trying to figure out how she's going to clear her name, but she might be, by what she's doing, end up making, things worse for herself. If you guys like these kind of like thriller kind of like, type films, though, check this one out here. Like I said, this one here is called Expatriot. And the next ones I got here from Wild Eye Releasings. It's a movie here called Never Leave Alive. The one guy too reminded me of somebody who I used to have in vlogs back when I was in Maryland. Every so often he popped in them. He really reminded me of him a lot. But this movie here is called, like I said, called Never Leave Alive. This movie's got like a similar kind of vibe to like a surviving the game kind of movie, because it's like these people who end up like in this like island, and it's like these two guys on this island, because like the people are there to do like a photo shoot with this main guy, John Harrington, and he's like a kind of like a survival expert, and they're like doing like pictures of him, stuff like that, and he's getting paid out there to go out there and do this. But they end up on this island. And of course, though, there's these two crazy people on this island who are like going after them and hunting them. And like that's what they do out there. So it's them kind of trying to survive and figure out how they're going to get away from these guys and how they're going to get off this island. Because it's like these people are really, really nuts. But really good production values and everything on this one. The main guy, though, is from WWE and ECW. And he's been in a number of other, films as well. This one here is from Wild Eye as well. And it's a movie called Watch Over Us. And this was kind of interesting because it's like a horror, but it's got like some kind of comedic kind of stuff in it as well. And it's about like this family that's in this house, and they're always like hearing weird noises and stuff, and they're always talking about like something in the barn, and they're always saying don't go out into the barn. The grandfather's like, don't go out there. It's like you don't want to mess around in there. And it's like there's something in the barn, and it's sort of like what is this thing that's out in the barn, and like why are they always hearing this thing in the barn, and like what this noise is. But then if they do kind of peek, they don't see anything out there. But it's got some kind of like sort of like goofy kind of stuff going on in the past, going on as well, but it's like kind of like paranormally kind of ghost kind of stuff. But I actually kind of thought this was a fun movie here. But anyway though, guys, that's all for the review portion of this video. Thanks again for watching. Subscribe.